Good. Okay. Good. She's recording. I'm gonna stay. We're on in new territory here, so bear with us just for a minute. Okay. So welcome everybody. As Lisa was kind of quickly explaining, um, JD's father has taken a turn for the worse in medical conditions, and so they're spending time with him and leaving the hosting to me. So that works out fine and dandy. Um, Want to just welcome you to Mappy Hour and a few little ground rules. Most of you already know this family friendly. It's being recorded. It's going to be available on uh, on YouTube, or excuse me, through the Mappy Hour, and we're just going to have a good time. Want to talk about this week topic. We're going to go talking about adventure labs, or what they originally were called was lab caches. And it's actually the 10th anniversary of the release of lab caches. We'll talk about the history in a little bit, but first we're going to go ahead and talk about what we've been doing, notes from the field, what we've been doing the last 2 weeks. So, and what have I forgotten? Oh, pretty much everything. But Robert, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
Sure, no problem. I'm gonna hope my computer stays online here because the CPU fan is shot on it. So I'm hoping it doesn't overheat and go out on me. So we shall see what happens. But this week I put out a new Christmas themed adventure lab after I had a geocaching event that I hosted for a Thanksgiving themed one. So everybody could come and tell me what they were thankful for, and I finally met the qualifications to get in our adventure lab. So I made a Christmas question themed adventure lab and had a fun time doing it.
Fantastic. Sounds good. And yeah, that's going to fit right into our topic as we talk about different adventure labs and the new way that we can attain those adventure labs. So excellent. Anybody else want to share what you've been up to for the last week or two? And just go ahead and raise your hand. There you go, Melissa. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. I haven't really been here. I mean, I was here 2 weeks ago, but I was in a hotel room in Louisville, and so I only talked in the chat. But the result of that Louisville trip was he's not on tonight, but the next day I was in Lexington and got to meet Tony Golden,
Oh,
which
how
is
nice.
Leslie Golden. Yes. Yeah. He actually had invited me to come do his he has a trackable house. I mean, it's a little house. And because he wasn't going to be able to go to the event. And so I went down and I could not get the lock open on the house. I had the combination and I was trying it different ways. And he didn't see my questions in time to answer while I was there. But then I'm at this event and he walks in.
Oh,
He now works for the sheriff's office instead of the police department, and so he was scheduled to work. And when he said something to his boss is like, "Oh, you've worked enough hours. Go."
how
So
nice.
it was. I got to meet him in person, which was very nice. And he said, "Yeah, I need to do some adjustments on that lock." He said, "I'm giving you credit for it." He said, "I know what the problem is. I'm sorry I didn't get to you when you were there. I could have gotten you in." So, but it looked really cute from the outside. I wish I'd gotten to see the inside.
Yeah. That's
So that was my big adventure since the last time.
very good. Very good. And yeah, nice guy, isn't he?
Yes.
Yes. Mike, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. My big adventure since the last time round was the chili cook-off that was held in Grand Rapids. So, nice thing about a chili cook-off, you can combine judging and lunch in one go. And they had the usual thing of filling in these find people sheets and then use those to hold a drawing. I got a bowl out of that. Turns out it's by the same person who did that mug I won a couple of years ago in Hillsdale. So
And what do you intend to use that bowl for?
I haven't figured that one out yet. It's I'm gonna be careful with it though, because being a handcrafted thing, it's not likely to stand much of a bump,
Right.
which is why I'm gonna be very careful with what I decide to use it for. But hey, I'm still using that mug for super hot chocolate, whatever I need on a day with warm liquids in order. So
Awesome.
we'll see where it goes.
That's fantastic.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
All right. Anybody else? Well, then I'll tell you what I've been up to, and it'll segue directly into our topic. And our topic, as Lisa wrote, it's this week's topic is celebrates the 10th anniversary of lab caches, now known as Adventure Labs. We're going to discuss their history. I'll give you a brief overview of the history. We can talk about how they've evolved and then what the future might look like. Well, we can't really figure out what GCHQ is going to do with it, but maybe we can talk about what you plan on doing with yours. And and then just share some of your experiences and that's what we're going to do. And I got to do that yesterday. Well, okay, so start out with my normal. I found a few caches. I actually set an adventure lab, a pretty good one. I don't think and it had a bonus, so I guess I did set a cache. And and then last night I was a guest on the geocaching podcast, and they were celebrating and discussing the 10th anniversary of lab caches, and had a really nice discussion about different aspects of them. And not all of us were in agreement with every section, but it gave, I thought, a pretty good cross view of it. Um, and so that was really good. But the number one thing, and I'll have to get some links put into the chat. I forgot to do that earlier. Um, Found out a couple years ago, I uh, I figured out how to play Adventure Labs when you don't have a good internet connection. And and I published a paper and I created a video on that, and and it worked out really well. Sometime last year, probably around November, it looks like they did an update on the Adventure Lab app that broke that system, and and it didn't work, and that was disappointing. In preparation for doing last night's podcast, I went out to see how broke it still was, and it's not broke; it's fixed. And as a matter of fact, it's fixed better than ever because it used to be that you couldn't use the navigation and the geocache and the Adventure Lab app at the same time, but now you can. And uh, and so I'm going to post a link that will take you to the document, and I'll post a link that will take you to the video, and you can review it. When you watch the video, a segment of it does talk about not using the navigation app. Ignore that. They are now working very well together, or at least Google is working very well. I didn't try every single app, but I think they're working. So that's fantastic. Okay, and with that segue, Robert, you got your hand up. Oh, let me give you a little history of these things. This was actually accumulated mainly by Scott Burks of the Geocaching podcast. They were actually introduced, the first concept was introduced for Valentine's Day 2014, where people could get one adventure or whatever they wanted to call them, and you could create something to give to one other person. So it was a Valentine's Day thing, and that was the first of them. Then they were introduced into mega events, and mega events could get them and use them any way they really wanted to. I I was at Geo Woodstock, and you went to a little gadget cache type thing, and and you know got the ball to come down, and it gave you a keyword, and you got the credit. Also did it in Yuma, and in Yuma they did actually some of them looked like geocaches. You had to go find something, and inside was the keyword, or you could go to a plaque and find the keyword. Um, the interesting thing about those was there was no geofencing on them. So it was fairly common happening in Yuma that somebody would go do it, find the 10 keywords, and then just go pass them around everybody, and they could claim the adventure lab or the lab cache, excuse me, from wherever. They didn't have to do the the geofencing. It was in 2019 that they released the first of the Adventure Lab apps. It's kind of interesting. Actually, one guy was at GCHQ was the person working on that, and and that's the first time they put in the geofencing, and uh, and they again were just initially given to mega events, and then eventually they were released to 250 geocachers got a chance to do beta tests on them, and then they were released to the rest of the public. It was 2021 that they showed up in the geocaching app, and 2023 for premium members, you can also see the adventures on the other adventures locations on the AOL map. And the most recent, and I think one of the best updates, is they now have a good distribution system. Originally, they were distributed, you had to ask for one, and they randomly gave you one, and you didn't know when you were going to get one. And then at one point, they just gave all premium members one, whether you wanted one or not. And then if you actually, if within 2 months you did that one, you got two more. And then for over a year, nobody got any more. And then they just released a criteria, and it's a 4 qualification criteria. Um, First off, you have to be a premium member. You cannot have available credit currently. Can't have unpublished adventures, and then you can get a new credit every 3 months. And with that, I think we're going to be able to get 4 at least at this time under this construction. We're going to be able to get 4 a year. Can be predictable on when you're going to get them, and even if you were to publish one, let's say a month before you're next eligible, as long as you publish it, you will still be eligible at the end of that month. So it's not like you have to have 3 months between publishes. So that's where we are. And now let's talk about where you've been, where you think you're going, and any experiences. Robert, why don't you start with us?
Yeah, so I've created 4 adventure labs. I am happy that they have updated the distribution where you can wait a few months and then get a new one rather than having to constantly ask Geocaching HQ, hey, can I have another adventure lab? And sometimes be told no. So it's good to finally have that distribution where you can keep the cycle going. I do plan to place in the future another adventure lab by my library where I already have a earth cache, a virtual, a traditional, a puzzle, and a multi-cache. So I can create that area where people can do an icon type day.
Hmm.
My only issue with Adventure Labs is that all I have is a flip phone. That's what I can do and afford. And I wish that it was available still on desktops where after you've got the question out in the field, answered it out in the field, you could come back home and then log it on your desktop. So now I've had to have borrowed smartphone phones from other cachers and log into the app that way in order to log and get the answers solved in order to get the adventure labs. So that's been the only challenge for me is having a flip phone and having to go to someone else in order to log the adventure labs.
Oh, and do you go with that person or
Yes, yeah,
okay?
we stay together. I don't just walk off with their smartphone. I stay with them and we log it all together and log it together so we can get the answers and everything. But not being able to afford a smartphone and pay for the data charges, basically I stick with a flip phone, which only costs me about like $80 a month, which is within my budget for the flip phone. So I basically cannot have a smartphone to go play Adventure Labs. So I have to borrow other cachers to make that happen.
I'm gonna, I think if you like, go to Spectrum, which utilizes Verizon's cell towers. Check out their pricing. It's I think you could probably get it for less than $80. But
Okay,
check, but check it out.
I'll have to see if that's
Yeah.
attainable.
Yeah, and that well, that is for the monthly fee, and of course the cell phones have gotten fairly expensive, but and they're not necessarily giving them away anymore. But check out Spectrum. You might be usable.
Thank you. I'll definitely look into that. But yeah, that's my only concern. But otherwise, it's really good to be able to get an adventure lab and create a theme. I did one in Salida, Colorado. That is a tour of the area, so you get to check out the historical smelter and all that. The second one I created was a history of my local town of Brimfield, Colorado. And then the third one I created was a story around my local lake called McKay Lake, which is a history of the ships and how
Hmm.
big they would be in the lake, sitting in the lake, their story and what kind of passengers and everything in their history. And then the last one I created was a history of, or like a little trivial type thing that was easy for families and kids on Christmas.
Oh, nice. Very good. And are they pretty much what I think of as kind of a traditional adventure lab? Very good.
Yes, I placed the Christmas one right near my work so I can watch people go find the adventure lab while I'm at work. My favorite thing is the one of the answers I created was Santa Claus, and when you type in the Santa Claus, you can attach a YouTube URL to that answer completion. So when they type in Santa Claus and get the completion complete type thing, the YouTube video pops up and it's Buddy the Elf yelling Santa.
How fun. How
I've,
fun. So,
I've watched several people do that out there while I'm at work, and you just watch them jump as the YouTube video pops up.
awesome. Terrific. Um, what, since nobody's raised their hand, and I don't see anybody waving, what's your favorite one that you've done?
The favorite one I've done probably is the ships of history. I always like history and
I,
trivia.
okay, the favorite one that you have found. That's probably what I should have.
Favorite one I found are probably the ones I find at Megas. I really appreciate this year's one at Cache Fest in Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma. They did a night at the museum themed one, and where you had to go talk to each one of the night at the museum characters to get a code that would solve the adventure lab. So it was really cool meeting the historical people and everything.
Nice. Very good. Oh, that sounds like a very much a leveled up adventure lab.
I can't wait to see what they do for Hawaii.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead, Mountain Goat.
Well, actually, I posted a question for Robert in the chat. I'm curious about your adventure lab. What kind of locations did you use? What was the themes? Is it going to remain after the holidays? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I plan to keep it after the holiday. Locations I use for some of my adventure labs, like I'm gonna do my next one, I'm gonna do at my local library, so it has all the icons in the same area. The next one I did was my local lake, so you can walk around the lake and envision the ships of history sitting right there in the lake and the length of them, and how their historical sense could be there. The Christmas one, I just wanted to put one next to my work, and that one's going to stay there for as long as Adventure Labs are allowed to stay. I'm going to have that one out there just for my work. So when people come and do my events, I host events at a meeting space in my work. So I have an Adventure Lab outside so people can get Adventure Labs wherever they're coming to attend my events. The themes, I'm always looking at new themes and what choices I may do. What I may do for my next Adventure Lab is do 5 Doctor Who themed catches. So that would be my next choice for it. But it's always fun with Adventure Labs figuring out what you want to do and getting a good theme and then good choices of either historical, fictional or non-fictional, and creating a little adventure at it, or even creating a tale of history, being able to have people walk around your town and be able to learn from plaques or historical spots about that place of history.
Lisa must have let in a whole bunch of people, and I apologize. I'm the host, and you guys must have been sitting in the waiting room a long time. I apologize for that. I didn't see the little cues there. So if you have just come in and you want to share what you've been up to in the last 2 weeks, please do. And otherwise, we've gotten into our topic of talking about adventure labs and people's experiences with them, people how they set them, ones that they found, um, your opinion of them, opinion of different phases of them, and I see Vince has popped his hand up, and so Vince, please go ahead. Yep. All right. Well, let me post a question. What do people think of GeoArt Adventure Labs? And don't just give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. I'd like you to talk. Ken, like you to tell us what you think about it. Do you think it's good for the game? Do you think it's not good for the game? And just share your opinions. Dick, go ahead.
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah.
Two things. One, uh, I've got, as Scott knows, I've got 2 of the legs of Route 66 between Kingman, Arizona and Seligman, Arizona. I'm having a lot of trouble with at least one side of it because the locations are changing and the artifacts that I was pointing to for the questions are starting to disappear or change. So I'm having I don't know at what point I would need to either run out of ideas of what to query about or else abandon it. I'm not sure what I should do, and maybe I can defer to Scott since he's the main architect of the Route 66 series. But I don't know what to do about that. That's kind of a problem for me. I've got to go down there and try and, I just got a couple reports today of another location that the object is gone, and of course, I don't, since I'm not right there, I check it on Street View and Google Maps and Google Earth, and the object is still there, but I don't know how recent that that screening was for Street View. I fixed one of them by posting a picture of the object on the actual stage, but the others are going to be more difficult. So I don't know if I'm open to suggestions as to what people think I can do to remedy that. The second question is about GeoArts with Adventure Labs.
So
And
let's handle it one topic at a time.
okay, sure.
Anybody have any suggestions for what he can do when these objects disappear? And Dick this is not local to him. He has to travel quite a distance to go back to the location. Bob, let's start with Bob. Did you raise your hand to answer the question? Okay. Mountain Goat, Jim.
Well, I had one lab that my location got fenced off while they re-landscaped it. And I just provided the answer. People could still go there and kind of at a distance see the object, but they couldn't get close enough to answer the question. So I just provided the answer in the description.
Very
Yeah,
good.
that's what I've done with one of them. And I'm hesitant to do, with, well, one side of that, there's two different labs, and one side has got 10, the other side's got 7. And I'm a little reluctant to have to paste in the answers for, majority of the locations. I guess I can do that. And I don't know if that degrades the experience enough to, make people not want to do it. I don't know. But I thought of that. I've done that actually on one of them.
So a lot of locations changed and the answers went away, huh?
Well, yeah. Well, for example, one of them is a store along Route 66, and they had a cigar store Indian right outside the door, and the cigar store Indian disappeared. And so the question was, how many cigars is he holding in his right hand or whatever it was? And the Indian disappeared. So there's one. Another one was an old truck parked outside an old gas station that was no longer active, and the truck disappeared. Well, I was able to pull up a picture of it from an old Street View and paste it into the actual stage so people can look at it and try to figure out, what the answer is on that truck. Now today I've gotten another one, a third leg. Well, there's one that Scott actually sent me a message on. There was a school that had 3 water fountains spread out in front of the school, about maybe 20, 25 yards apart. And 2 of those have disappeared. There's only one left. It's obscured largely by grass, that kind of thing. And then today I got one that said, well, your question is, what's the serial number on this gas pump next to the front door of this store? And the gas pump's gone. The new owner apparently got rid of it. So I'm dying on the vine here. So anyway, that's
like I said in chat, I'm surprised how often you use a location for a lab or a cache, and it's something that you've seen for years when you've gone by, and you think it's going to be there forever, and the next thing you know, a year later, it's gone.
Yep, absolutely. And then Dick, what I have seen, and I know that it degrades the experience a little bit, is people will just make that location into a multiple choice.
That's a good idea, Scott. Maybe that's what I'll do. Yeah, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
welcome.
The other question I had, or the issue you asked about, was Adventure Labs' GeoArts. I've been queried by a friend of mine down in Texas who said, hey, we're doing a GeoArt down here. We're trying to do an Adventure Lab GeoArt. And they were recruiting people that had credits to contribute their credit to the GeoArt. and they were going to put out an Adventure Lab GeoArt in the outline of the state of Texas. And I'm not sure the guy's doing it's got the right idea, but they're talking about 25 different adventure labs, and it's like, how's this going to work? I don't see how they're going to do this and make an outline of the state of Texas with 25 data points. That's a little impossible to me, but anyway, most people, when they get an adventure lab, you get 5 credits, right? And I don't know, Scott may know, are they giving anybody 10 anymore? Number one. Number two, how do you make something look like a GeoArt when you don't actually get to see all of the locations that are in each adventure lab? You have to do it, I would think, with the location of the base adventure lab icon. In other words, you would make your GeoArt out of, for the sake of argument, say 25 adventure labs, and then each one of those adventure labs would have another 5 waypoints you'd have to go to. I'm trying to work my way through it. I just don't understand how you can do this with an adventure lab with 5 locations.
I know that I could answer the question, but if there's somebody else who would like to explain it,
Yeah.
or has participated in one of these, yeah, go ahead, Bob. Yeah.
I gave one to the West Virginia group for Woodstock 21, and the GeoArt is based off of the pin location of the entire series. You don't use individual waypoints,
Right.
The 5. So they take that pin. I haven't been there to do it because they just started it, I think, in October. But I've done 3 GeoArt adventure labs: Michigan, Tennessee, and Georgia. And I know you sit in the parking lot and you answer, 100, 150 questions. If you take your time, there's some very interestingly well done series with questions, and I've learned a lot of stuff. But if you're just there to bang out 150 finds, then you probably won't learn much. So you ask about opinion of, and I saw Ken posted about the Muncie bomb. I've never done Muncie, but the nice thing about the adventure labs, at least you have the opportunity to learn something. I'm not convinced Muncie you learn anything, which is part of why I've never done Muncie. It just does not appeal to me at all. It doesn't spark my intellect at all. Oh, and another question about Mountain Goat. I too am amazed at how quickly something goes away as soon as you make it part of a question. And I guess that's if you want something to disappear, just make it one of the stages of an adventure lab. Because Dick and Wolfie actually called me one time. I remember I was actually in a Walmart store, and I was part of an adventure lab out in Vegas that the signs disappeared, and it was set up where you had to actually type in the answer, and you couldn't type it in, so you couldn't finish the adventure lab. And we fixed that by making it multiple choice, hoping that someday the sign would come back. But to my knowledge, the signs have not come back, so it's still just it's a nice trail, so it gets you through the trail. But I saw the thing about it being 10-year anniversary. Do you mean 10-year as in this entire year, or was there a date this month that it was the 10-year anniversary? Because I remember it was February of 2014 that we got the opportunity to make a personalized adventure lab, and you could create one for one other person. And so because the things going on in my life at that time, I remembered specifically that it was February of 2014. So I guess the 10-year anniversary is just like 2024, not November, whatever of 2024.
Yes. Well, I was holding you in the holding room
I was in penalty
We
box.
discussed, well, you were in the penalty box with about 20 other people, and not be able to talk to each other. We did talk about, it's February 2014 was when they were first introduced, and this is kind of like the year.
Okay.
Okay,
Scott,
Vince,
Scott, let me before Vince starts, let me ask Bob one question.
yes.
Both those ones you talked about, the Georgia, Tennessee, and one other place, are they all like in a parking lot? Is that it?
The Michigan one was in a parking lot, like at a visitor center up at Mackinac Bridge. Tennessee was one of the I-75 road rest areas, which you could do from either side, either northbound or southbound. The Georgia one was only available from the southbound I-75.
How many labs did they use for those?
Tennessee, I think, was 150, and it's spelled out TN. Michigan spelled out MI, and I think Georgia spelled out GA. Now, the one I contributed an adventure lab to, the West Virginia one, Buckeye Cacher 111 created the outline of the state of West Virginia.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know. I am assuming those are in a parking lot or someplace there. I'm guessing you don't have to drive to a bunch of stages.
And yeah,
It's the welcome center.
very good. Okay, Vince, you've been waiting patiently. What, were you involved in the Michigan Adventure Lab GeoArt?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
But I did do it though about a year or so back, and I most recently did the Ohio one about a little over a month ago. And what was kind of comical is the geocacher that was with me is from Ohio, and it was painfully obvious that I was not, because they were all questions that had to do with Ohio. And as I'm kind of stumbling my way through the questions, I happened to ask her, "How far you got to go?" And she goes, "I'm done." And I'm going like, what? I still have like 9 labs to go. So after I struggled my way through it, I finally got through it. But the one proud moment though I did have though doing that one though was being from Michigan. Um, I did ace the questions that the one adventure lad that had to do with the Ohio State football team. So I got those all correct on the first try. So I thought, oh, that was a proud moment for me. But as far as what I've been up to, about a couple weeks ago, my chili apparently was award winning again because I got the hottest award again 2 years running. So yeah, it was flaming hot. So I'm not sure if I don't know if Mike had some there or not. I saw him there maybe, but yeah, it was pretty hot. And then yeah, I was late getting on tonight because I was coming from a geocaching event tonight because somebody was hosting a bonfire up in the Rockford area. It was actually, if anybody who was at Bash this past summer, that there was a marriage proposal at Midwest Geobash. Well, they got hitched late last September, and they were the ones that were hosting tonight. So yeah, we had chili and hot cider in front of a nice fire. So,
Very
but
good.
anyway, as far as no, on my adventure lab, I did have it one time on one of my stages that not just because it disappeared, but um because it's also not winter friendly. So just what I did is I put a question in there. It was basically the stage was you had to know the year that the Boy Scouts had constructed the platform that it was on, and it was a little plaque that was down near the bottom of the structure. So of course, 4 inches of snow, you won't find it. So basically, all I just did is I asked, what was the last year that the Marlins won the World Series, so that they'd have an opportunity to Google and get the same answer that they needed, so they could be on their way.
Very good. Excellent. I was doing something. Melissa, what do you have to share?
So when I was in Louisville, I did the Kentucky Derby Adventure Lab. And one of the stops, I could not find the answer. And I had submitted the form to the owner, cannot complete. Well, then I read through some of the other stuff, and someone said they were able to Google the answer. So I Googled the answer, so I was able to complete it. But then when I got back to the hotel that night, the owner had responded to me, and he's like, I can't believe it. It was literally a street named for somebody, and they took those names down. He's like, I cannot believe they removed that. He's like, I have changed the lab. So something else you could see from that same location with the Kentucky Derby. He's like, I've changed the answer and this is what it is if you need it. And I said, well, I Googled it. I hate to Google to get an answer for these because that's just not the way you're supposed to do it. But I was able to complete it after all. And he thanked me, and he thanked me for submitting it because he did not know they had taken down the street signs. And when you name a street after somebody, that's pretty odd that it goes back to a standard like Fifth Street or something. So yeah, that was my experience with a disappearing location.
I've said for a long time, when they came out with them, they said, "Oh, this is great because they don't need any maintenance." Ah, they do. All right. Let's see. I'm going to put that in there. So I'm putting two links in the chat, and these are links to a document, and they're links to a video I did, and now they're working again. So these are how to do Adventure Labs when you don't have an internet connection. The key being that you do have to load the Adventure Lab before you have the internet connection. But then this will tell you and give you some hints and advice on how to not lose that connection when you don't have the internet. Bob, go ahead. What do you got going on?
Yeah, I had a thought. The question was about how so many GeoArt adventure labs popping up. I do think some of them are copycat things. Like if they're trying to do a state of Texas, that's a direct copy off of West Virginia, that's probably a direct copy off of something else too. But I guess my question is, or my answer to the question is more of a globally thought out answer, and that if there's something about geocaching that you don't care for, don't do it. It's not hurting you if someone else does it and you don't. This isn't a game where we get a prize for having more fines than the guy sitting across from you at an event. No different than the power trails out in Vegas, or I mean out in Nevada, or Arizona, or wherever else they have power trails. If you don't like power trails, don't do power trails. It's no different than the difficulty 5 puzzle that the cache owner decided it was only a 2 difficulty, and when in reality it's a 5 difficulty, and I can't solve it and can't find it. It doesn't affect me if you go out, solve it, and find it. So I think sometimes we all have to take a deep breath, say, you know what, that's okay. For example, I've cut back on my high terrain caches that I used to do a lot of. I just can't do some of those anymore. I'm too fat and too old. And so I have to drive away from some of them. Yeah, it's frustrating sometimes when you think, oh, I've got this really cool cache I'm going to go do, and then I can't do it. Or maybe a 20 stage virtual that I like, this is ridiculous. I don't have time for that. I think sometimes we just have to take a deep breath and say, you know what, there are people that enjoy it. And go find something we do enjoy. I guess that's kind of my thoughts. I mean, the GeoArt isn't a whole lot different than the US 30 or the 66 or any of those others. It's just a string of random questions along the way, so If somebody may say, I don't like the Route 66 ones, well, fine, don't do them.
But you're going to piss me off if you equate sitting in a parking lot, answering 350 questions with driving from Santa Monica to Chicago for 3 weeks to do 844. Yeah, it's 844. It didn't take me an hour.
That's okay. You had a lot more fun doing it.
I did.
So that's the main thing. Main thing is go out and have fun. If there's parts of the game you don't have fun doing, then don't do them. You know?
Yeah. I'm gonna. So that question was asked last night. Is it good for the game on the podcast that I was on? And and you answered part of it. But here's the other part. I think it's good for the game because it is another aspect of the game. And it's taking 25, 35, 45 people to come together as a team and do a coordinated effort. I think that's good for the game. As you said, they're getting copycatted. It appears to me that there will be a trend that eventually there will be adventure geo art in every state of the union, just like there are, uh, just like there is a Cache Across America. Uh, the the Cache Talk is putting together one that has a geocache in every state, and I think there's people who are going to do every state. That's something they love to do. It's an aspect that they love to do. I Anything that encourages people to go out and geocache, I think is good for the game. That said, when Elias and Brian uh, and the other guy sat down and talked about geocaching, did they ever have in mind that people would sit into a parking lot and get 450 credits? No. But as Brian has said, we're a creative group of people, and put something out there, make it available. People will be creative about it. Okay, Dick, what do you got going on?
Yeah, a couple of thoughts. One, I really enjoyed having an opportunity to do the legs for the Route 66. And I enjoyed that type of geocaching and that type of adventure labbing. And I really enjoy adventure labs that take you to places, maybe in a local area, maybe, but not in one spot. Somewhere where you have to drive a little bit, but not 50 miles. I really enjoy those. What I don't enjoy is, and I think it cheapens the game, are these ones where you can sit in a parking lot and sit there and just punch buttons. I don't know what the solution to that is. One idea, while Scott was just talking about getting credits, maybe one solution is to change the crediting so that Adventure Lab credits don't show up on your geocaching totals. They that way, it might discourage that type of activity. I don't know. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's bad. But the problem I see with making GeoArts out of Adventure Labs is largely because of the restriction on the number of Adventure Labs an individual can access and create fairly quickly. If one person, can only do one at a time and then have to wait to get another credit and another credit, that really slows it down. It causes what's going on in Texas right now, or what they did for Geo Woodstock 21, having to recruit people to contribute an Adventure Lab. And without that, then you're stuck with just, you don't have enough Adventure Labs to do anything meaningful in the way of a geo art. So I'm not sure I'm all aboard on the idea of a geo art out of Adventure Labs. I understand the geo arts we're talking about are basically a couple of letters, which to me is not really a geo art. That's just me.
So, yeah, I have to blame geocaching.com for part of the geo art revolution. They issued to every single person, whether they wanted it or not, an Adventure Lab credit. And so when somebody came up with the idea, very creative idea, hey, let's do this geo art. There were people who had no idea what to do with theirs. I'll contribute it to this. So, and I do think that, only at this point, you're only going to get 4 a year. Um, I'm going to do a good job on them. If I could only create 4 geocaches a year, there's not going to be a there's not going to be a pill bottle under a lamp skirt.
Well, that's Scott, I agree with you 100%. And that's why the adventure lab that they're asking me to contribute to Texas is one I've been sitting on for 2 years.
Yep.
Because I've had a credit for 2 years, and I'm not going to put an adventure lab together just to be putting an adventure lab together unless I can make it mean something.
Yep.
And contribute something.
Yep.
So I agree with you 100%.
Yep. I appreciate it. Kind of speaking of which, Leveled Up Adventure Labs, this is a Facebook group, guy that I just put in the chat. And there's a guy named Graham, I believe is his first name, and he's in Great Britain. And he has put together a Facebook group called Adventure Labs Soundboard. I should have put that in there. And he's encouraging people to share their creative ideas. And one of them, and I'm just going to share it here because anybody could do it any place. One person is creating an adventure lab that simulates an icon run for geocaching. So one of the adventures, pretty basic. You go to there and the answer is there, kind of simulating a traditional. Another one, you go someplace, gather some information, gives you the coordinates to where the answer is. It's like a multi. Another one is like a letterbox. Doesn't have a stamp, doesn't have a container because you can't have those, but it takes you to a starting location and you make a series of left, rights, and whatever turns to simulate a letterbox. And he even has a webcam at one of the locations. And so, it's not an official, on one hand, it's not an official webcam. You're not going to get a webcam icon, but you are going to get a webcam credit for doing a webcam. So just putting that out there for you guys that you could do this in your neighborhood. And I think and there's several other little discussions going on that talks about them. So I encourage you to look at it if you're interested in leveling up your adventure lab. Here's a location that you can share your ideas, ask for ideas, and it's a pretty good group. Melissa.
Question. So Mike in the chat said he might have an adventure lab out there lurking. How would you even know you have an adventure lab credit?
You go to labs, geocaching.com. Go to my adventure. I think it tells you right away. And it'll tell you if you have a credit. Let me go ahead and let me get that up and I'll share my screen. So I'm not talking off the top of my head. Okay, share screen. Okay, so here I've logged into Labs Adventure Lab, geocaching.com. I've logged in as myself, and I can go here to My Adventures.
I just posted a link
Okay, perfect.
to the builder. And if you go there, it'll tell you right away if you have a credit.
Yep. So here I've gone to My Adventures, and here I see that I have met 3 of the 4 qualifications for getting an Adventure Lab credit. If I had met them all, it would just tell me right up here that I have a credit. And yeah, so you could see on January 24th next year at 3:18 p.m., I can I'll get a credit and I can start posting another one. Um, oh, my background. So Scott Burks of Geocaching Podcast has labeled me several times on the podcast as the godfather of Adventure Labs. So a friend of mine uh, made this graphic for me, and I love it. Okay. Um, Anybody want to
Uh,
share the best Adventure Lab they've ever? Go ahead, Melissa.
thank you. I logged in. I have a credit. I had no idea.
Excellent. And now, do you have an idea?
Not a clue.
Okay. But that's one of the nice things about this distribution is you'll know that you're going to get a credit that's coming up and you can be thinking, oh, what do I want to do? Yeah, Dick, go ahead.
Yeah, the best adventure lab I've ever done actually was a series at the Boston Geo Tour, which I think is still in operation. The Boston Geo Tour is, I don't remember, I think it was 10 location, 10 geocaches, but one of them was a bonus cache for a series of adventure labs. You had to do 9 5-stage adventure labs in the greater Boston metropolitan downtown area that basically followed the Freedom Trail. And when you completed those, you got the coordinates for the bonus cache that was the final piece of the Boston Geo Tour. That was a really cool way to integrate adventure labs into geocaching. So, I mean, it followed pretty much the same area, and you had to do 45 adventures, 45 stages to get the coordinates for the final bonus geocache. And when
And
you found it, you went to the location with the combination, open the box, and I guess it was a path tag they had in there. But that was really cool to see
and
that was integrated.
and Dick, was that a cooperative
Yes,
effort between 9
yes.
different geocachers? Yeah.
I don't know how many were involved, but yes, it was a cooperative effort. Um, you could go to either that geo tour, and I'm trying to remember the name of the geocacher that was really the guy that kind of organized it, put together, but he's well known in the Boston, Massachusetts area. You probably would recognize the name, Scott.
Retired guy, I think is
That's
the
the
one.
guy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yep.
Yep.
The trivia, the inventor of Ms. Pac-Man. Yeah, there you go, Mike. All right. Very good. And well, we're coming right up to 7 o'clock. Again, I apologize for those people who spent an inordinate amount of time in the waiting room. Um, that's why Lisa is better at this than I am. But good discussion. Thank you all for sharing your opinions, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Um, I don't have any sponsor news to give to you guys, but thank Lisa and Cash Dash Advance and JD for always hosting this and have God, what's it been, 4 or 5 years now? Over 4 years. That's a lot of Mappy hours. So thank you all, and see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks for filling in, Scott.
My pleasure.
So the host left and we're all here on our own?
Well, he was the secondary. I think it'll actually stay open till Lisa closes it out.
Hey, we didn't do pet check.
Get a pet on.
Yeah. All my pets have moved on for the moment.
I had Molly in there for a few minutes when she decided to get a little friendly, but she's wandered off.
This week, Space Duck again.
Space duck. Oh, signal.
Also, St. Patrick's Duck.
Hey, Jim, I assume you gave platelets Tuesday.
Patrick?
Oh,
I see a stuffed animal pet check over there. Oh, Bella.
yay.
Nigel, you want to do pet check?
Oh, come on, Nigel.
Come on.
We're rooting for you, Nigel.
Come on. Come. Oh, well,
Yay.
there we go.
Top dog.
So they say that people's dogs look like their owners, I guess.
It is amazingly true in your case.
I was just thinking that.
Okay, yeah. LA's got the stuffed critter in one of the
Rabbit?
seats while driving.
Stuffed rabbit.
Look at the camera, Nigel. Come on. Out here. Come on. See, he likes his squeaky toys. He'll look at those all day.
Hey, I have a question. Have anyone on here had trouble with the add-ons to the geocaching web pages, specifically the Cache Tour and the Project GC add-on? I've tried reloading, I've tried deleting, reloading, all kinds of things. It used to show the county, used to show how many fines and things like that, right up there in the little stat block. There were several other features of that has quit working for me.
Yeah, I had to reload. I think it was the what was the camper monkey.
I did that.
Mine's working now because mine didn't work for like months, but it's working now. So I'm
Okay.
not sure. Just
Well,
reload everything and maybe even reload the original the module that camper monkey uses from whatever the source is from the Project ZC source. Maybe I don't remember exactly how I got to working again, but it is working again now. So just reload everything.
okay. If you run across that, could you send me a link to that then? I mean,
I'll try it. Yeah.
if so, I mean, if I find it ahead of time, I'll let you know. But I try reloading everything. I mean, I stripped it all down to. I mean, I even logged out of geocaching, relogged in, all kinds of things.
Yeah, mine wasn't working for months, but I got it working again a couple weeks ago by reloading a bunch of stuff, and it finally is working now fine, like it used to.
Mine just started acting up a couple, 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Oh, and I also had the Tamper Monkey. There was Tamper Monkey, and there's a Tamper Monkey beta that kind of made a duplicate thing going. I'm not sure what that was. I think I eliminated the beta or eliminated the original. I'm not sure which one I did. And that might have helped doing that too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll see if I can figure out what it was I did again.
Yeah. We missed you Tuesday night.
Yeah.
It was a small group, but we had a good time.
Like I said, I gave platelets. I was successfully gave platelets. Yay.
I gave yesterday. I got my socks. Did you get
Yeah,
socks? Yep. I got a pair just like it. We'll have to coordinate some event and both wear our socks.
Oh, well. So how long is this gonna go? Keep going on, so.
Until everybody hangs up or Lisa comes in and shuts it down. I mean, it's even still recording. So, and tomorrow night, I'm holding together a Zoom call for a lot of friends from Toronto. Some of them who will be at that event for next week. So,
I missed notes from the field. We did an event county run down in Southern Ohio a couple weeks ago. And what kind of prompted it is I'd started working with one of the libraries, and the county in Ohio that has, I believe, still has the fewest number of caches in the county, which is Benton County. And I started working with their library, and we made a hollowed out book cache. And I watched I watched several YouTube videos on how to do that. And there's the slow way and there's the fast way. It was funny. The guy that did it the fast way used a wood chisel and a hammer, and it was quite violent. Watching him take that wood chisel, boom, 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 and chiseling out the entire center section of the book. And the user comments, he said, well, you have three things. You have fast, good, and cheap, but you only get to pick two of the three.
yeah.
It can either be fast and cheap, or it can look good, but it can't be fast. But it was neat. We had a couple people show up locally, which was nice. And so hopefully we get geocaching stirred up in those small counties that don't have many caches.
Mm.
So that was my notes from the field.
Well, I'll do a quick rerun. I did the chili cook-off the other week, and they did the thing where they leave out a sheet of people meeting various qualifications and you get them signed. Then they folded them, put them into a bin, and started drawing for prizes. I won a bowl.
Looks like Ellie Newell is doing a gadget cache.
Yep. Geocaching live. I've done that on one or two occasions. Oh,
Hey,
Holland Brook.
Speak of
Funny you should
Holland
mention
Brook.
that.
Yay.
So,
This is a cache yet to be installed. I'm waiting for a roof.
Oh. Did you
I'm
make
going to say goodnight, everyone, and sign off. Carry on.
did you make that book?
I did. You were just talking about the book. I sure did.
Did you do it the fast way or the slow way?
Oh, I cut it with an X-Acto knife. It was fun.
Yeah, that's just really slow for a 500 and something page book.
This is the page that it landed on is the finds.
Oh, that's perfect.
When you whatever rain cover probably must be the truth.
If you ever get a GC code, you'll have to let us know.
Yeah, I will eventually. I just haven't installed it yet. It's going to go with the nearby Habitat for Humanity.
Oh, nice.
They said absolutely, we'd love to see that. Yeah, it has a little secret compartment up in the roof. It's a regular, free library.
Yes. That's great.
yeah, they took it out a couple of years ago, but for a while, a little free library about 4 blocks away from me a small paint container stuck around one corner of the door with Velcro. Then they took it away for some reason.
So yeah, it's all ready to install. I just have to get that, get it installed in the ground, and it'll be good to go. Yay!
I don't know what that means.
What?
What? It goes on
Oh.
it goes on a stand, and then it goes into the ground using a like a ground screw. So it'll actually have a stand with it. Let's see if I can find. Oh, I'm out of power, so I don't know if I can get to the stand without losing you. Here's the actual stand that it goes on. So, yeah.
Ah.
Somewhere. Here it is, the metal screw. This will go into the ground. So, yeah.
Very nice.
Hmm.
I was contemplating seeing if I could get somebody to make some 4-inch vinyl and cut those out for each of the windows, so it would have the 4 windows of the geocaching logo, but I have to make sure it's okay before I go putting that on stuff.
Get a cricket cut.
We appear to have run out of steam.
Yeah. What else did I miss while I was in the penalty box?
Can't remember really.
Lot.
Old age setting in.
Guess it wasn't that important, huh?
You have to catch the replay.
I'd be curious if this is still on the this will be in the replay, or if she'll edit our open mic night.
Yeah. Well, given that they usually run longer, she may not be checking for a while.
Sorry, drinks are full price.
Wah, 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 wah.
That's
Cheers.
okay. I just drink water.
So that's how you could last so long in our drinking game.
Well, the root beer is too expensive to keep going.
Well, it was for a while there, wasn't it?
Yep.
That reminds me of a story I heard once about Ernie Kovacs. He was doing a TV show, and one of the skits involved a character getting drunk, and they were supposed to put tea in his glass, but they actually put some alcohol base in it. So he takes the first sip, and you can see on his face, if you know what they did, you can see that's when he realized what they'd done, and he had to get through the whole skit and at least stay standing, if not sober. Random associations, what can I say?
Yeah, I was going to go with the Red Skelton's Guzzler's Gin ad. But most of you probably aren't old enough to remember that.
I remember Red Skelton.
Yeah.
Don't remember him in that many ads, though.
Yeah, I don't remember a Red Skelton ad, but I remember watching the show.
It was a old vaudeville routine where basically all the radio spots that they would throw in, like, do a few seconds of whatever, then cut back to an ad, and he's sitting there drinking a shot of gin every time. on the ad and getting more and more slosh through the course of the program. So, yeah.
Kind of like the old Foster Brooks routine, huh? My dad used to love Foster Brooks. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to head out too.
Oh,
Somebody has to keep score and see who the last one standing is. Is this like the
wait, 1, 2, 3. Hey, whoever gets off, then we're all in top 5.
those contests where you have to hold your hand on the car and the last one still holding the car wins the car?
Sounds like something Mr. Beast has done.
I think they did a
Who?
hot tub in our area.
Oh, you guys had a hot tub contest, huh?
Oh, Mr. Beast does those sorts of contests. He's one of those YouTubers, so he's done several things where you take your hand. If you're the last person with your hand on the car or the house or whatever, you win it.
I always like the ones where they have you sit in a room and say, if you catch somebody crossing their legs, you can take whatever they have, and whoever has the most at the end wins. I'll sit there and hook my feet around my chair, and I'm on it like instantly. I win every time.
Hmm.
That's cute.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and head out too. We got food coming, so bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Man, we're dropping like flies in here.
Well, I'm missing On Patrol Live, so I guess I'll go and start watching On Patrol Live. So
Have fun.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, oh well. And people go poof. Yeah. Oh well. I guess I'll go wander off and see what other trouble I can get into. So Lisa can announce next week who was the last person standing between Ken and Jim.
I'm guessing Jim probably walked away, and so he'll probably be on, and Lisa will kick him off.
Hmm. Oh well.
Either way, it'll be fun to watch the recap on this one to see it going as we dwindle down.